I still remember the first time I saw
It
Emily.
was a spring afternoon, and the city seemed brighter than usual. I was 26, an ambitious architect with big dreams, but very little experience in love. She was standing in a bookstore, a red scarf draped around her neck, her fingers gently tracing the spine of a novel I had read a dozen times before. Something in me stirred. I wasn't the kind of man who believed in fate, but when our eyes met, I felt like the universe had paused. She smiled, and that smile, it felt like home. We started talking about books, about art, about life. She had a way of making the most ordinary things sound extraordinary. Within weeks, we were inseparable. Within months, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. Our wedding was small, intimate, just family, close friends, and vows whispered under a canopy of white roses. I promised her forever. She promised me the same. And for a long time, I believed her. Life with Emily was not perfect, but it was ours. I worked long hours at my firm, pouring myself into designs that would shape the skyline. She encouraged me, supported me, reminded me to breathe when deadlines suffocated me. In return, I tried to give her the life she deserved: surprises, flowers, trips on weekends. I thought love was enough. I thought we were unshakable. But love, I would later learn, is fragile when trust is broken. The first signs were small. So small, I almost ignored them. Her phone would buzz late at night, and she would silence it quickly. When I asked, she'd smile and say, "Just work, don't worry." There were sudden evenings out with friends from the office. Nights when she came home smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. Her laughter changed too. It wasn't the soft, genuine laugh I knew. It was lighter, forced, almost guilty. At first, I convinced myself I was imagining things, that I was overthinking, that a man who loved his wife this much should never doubt her. But the more I tried to silence the voice inside me, the louder it became. One evening, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered. I had no intention of snooping. I hated the idea of mistrust, but the screen lit up, and a message appeared. It said, "I miss you already. Can't wait to see you again." I froze. My chest tightened. My hands shook as though I'd touched fire. I wanted to believe it was innocent. A joke. A misunderstanding. But deep down, I knew the truth. Still, I said nothing. I buried the doubt. I smiled at her across the dinner table, kissed her goodnight, and told myself love was about trust. But trust, I would learn, is only meaningful when it is deserved. The night everything broke is etched in my memory like a scar. It was raining. The city streets glistened with reflections of neon lights. Emily had told me she was going out for a girls' dinner. Something in her voice felt wrong. Something in my gut told me not to let it go. So, against every principle I had, I followed her. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. My heart pounded with every turn she took. Finally, she stopped at a small, cozy restaurant. I parked far enough to stay hidden, and then I saw him. A man, tall, well-dressed, walking toward her with a smile that wasn't meant for a stranger. And then her face lit up. She laughed, touched his arm, and in that instant, my world collapsed. I couldn't breathe. My chest ached as though someone had carved it open. All the years of love, all the promises, all the nights we held each other, it all felt like ashes slipping through my fingers. I stayed there for what felt like hours, watching them, laughing, sharing wine, her hand brushing his. The intimacy that was once mine, now given freely to another. When she returned home that night, I was waiting. My voice trembled when I asked, "Who is he, Emily?" Her eyes widened, panic flashing across her face. For a moment, I saw the truth before she even spoke. She stammered, whispered, "I never meant to hurt you." But intentions didn't matter. She had already broken me. The days that followed were a blur of silence and shadows. I moved out, packed a suitcase with trembling hands, and left. Behind the apartment we once called home, every corner of that place carried memories. Our first Christmas tree, the couch where we stayed up all night talking, the kitchen where she danced while cooking. Now it was just a museum of broken promises. Nights were the worst. I lay awake, staring at ceilings that weren't mine, replaying every moment of our marriage. Where had I gone wrong? Had I not loved her enough? Worked too much? Given too little? The truth ate at me. I wanted answers, but even if she gave them, nothing could erase the image of her with him. I drank too much. I stopped eating. My friends tried to pull me out of it, but grief was a heavy chain. I wasn't just mourning her betrayal. I was mourning the man I used to be, the man who believed in forever. Healing didn't come overnight. It came in fragments, in moments so small I almost missed them. The morning I went for a run instead of reaching for another bottle. The afternoon I sketched a new design, losing myself in creation instead of destruction. The evening I sat by the river, watching the sunset, realizing that the world hadn't ended, even if mine had. And then there was Anna. I met her in a cafe. She was sitting by the window, typing furiously on her laptop, a cup of coffee forgotten beside her. I dropped my pen, she picked it up, and somehow that simple gesture turned into a conversation. Unlike Emily, Anna didn't dazzle me with charm. She didn't try to impress me. She listened. She saw the heaviness in my eyes and didn't shy away. For weeks, we just talked. About books, about life, about the scars people carry. She never asked too much, never pushed too far. And slowly, I began to breathe again. With her, I learned something I had forgotten. Love is not about perfection, or grand gestures, or forever promises. Love is about presence, about honesty, about choosing each other every single day. I will never forget Emily. I will never erase the years we shared, or the pain of her betrayal. It is a part of me now, etched into my story, but I am no longer defined by it. Through the ashes of broken love, I found myself again. And in finding myself, I found the courage to love again. Anna once asked me if I regretted it all, if I regretted loving someone who betrayed me. I thought about it, and I said, no, because even pain teaches us who we are. And without the storm, I would never have learned how strong I could be. This is my story, a story of love, betrayal, heartbreak, and healing. A story that reminds me, and maybe you, that no matter how deep the wound, the heart can still learn to beat again. Because even broken hearts can find their way back to love.